Chapter 4. A Ball of a Time. As a few weeks went by, the students thought and thought. They tried thinking of why Harry would do such a deed. Also, what would prone him to steal their presents only? Each of them went to a professor or school official and tried to explain what happened, but none would believe them. "I promise you, Professor, it sure looked like Potter riding away on that broomstick."
"Why, that's preposterous, Mr. Sculptor. I would hardly think that Harry Potter would reduce himself to such childish pranks. Perhaps you should remember where you stash your gifts. May I recommend under the tree like everyone else?"
Professor McGonagall suggested. People that knew Harry well would not think their story was true. "Oh, come on, Hagrid. You've got to believe us. We've got the glasses to prove it."
"Don, you know how popular those glasses are. I swear people be wearing them just so they can look like Harry. Best you keep this to yourself. You would not believe the amount of things I should not have told those three. Like the time about Fluffy's calming harp."
"What?"
"Ah, you see? I shouldn't have told you that."
The three students started asking questions themselves. Should they or Ginny tell Ron and Hermione? How could Harry see where he was going without his glasses, especially in a snowstorm? Their thoughts all came back to what Elizabeth hinted about when Ginny stopped by. It was then one day Elizabeth stopped Don and Thomas in the hall.
"I've been looking all over for you."
"What's going on, Elizabeth?" Thomas inquired.
"We've got to take action now. No one will believe us about Harry and those gifts. We need to get them back. So since we can't get in contact with him ourselves, I think it's time that we tried out my plan."
"I guess we can't use the old howler trick like we did the first time. By the way, you never did explain your plan fully," Dawn said. Elizabeth then smiled and pulled out 2 dress robes from behind her back. The boys looked at each other and then back at Elizabeth in slight shock.
"Oh, goody me. I get to take 2 boys to the Yule Ball. Not that either of them asked me, but... oh well."
She approached them and linked her arms with both of them and dragged them along. They returned to their common rooms and got ready. The night of the Yule Ball came. Groups of Hogwarts students came in pairs to enjoy their last evening before most would go off and celebrate the holidays. Don and Thomas approached the doors of the Great Hall. Thomas was fidgeting with his bow tie, but Don was fairly comfortable. "Thomas, what's the matter?"
"Oh, this isn't me. I don't do formal wear all the time. I had to borrow this bow tie."
"You don't own a bow tie? Well, you could have asked me. I've got loads of them." "Let's just hope Elizabeth is right and Harry does show up at this thing." "Let's hope Elizabeth does, too." Don started to look towards a set of stairs and saw Elizabeth coming down in a purple evening gown with Hagrid on her arm. As she neared the end of the stairs, she stopped by the boys.
"Really? You couldn't escort me in?"
Thomas and Don looked at each other and then tapped on Hagrid to step aside. The boys extended their arms and Elizabeth gladly took them. The trio walked in and the Great Hall was even more beautiful than before. It was glistening with white. Snow, ice, trees, lights, a picturesque winter scene. The Hogwarts band were set up at the front of the hall and was playing music. Familiar faces filled the room. Professor McGonagall, Hagrid, even Ron and Hermione. Ginny was also wandering around, keeping a close eye on the trio. The students looked all around and soon spotted Harry over on a side.
"There's Harry,"
Elizabeth whispered. "Odd, he looks fine to me," Don remarked. "You think he'd be windburned or something from his escape," Thomas analyzed. They unlinked arms and started to approach Harry. However, Harry darted away, grabbed some lady from the side and began to waltz on the dance floor. "He's blending into the crowd," Thomas said. "Best we do it too. Come on, Thomas," Elizabeth exclaimed as she dragged Thomas out on the dance floor and began to dance. "Oi, what about me?" Don cried out. The others were already on the floor and didn't hear him. Thomas and Elizabeth waltzed as best they could, trying to get closer to Harry and the woman, but Harry started getting farther away. "Can we please stop going so fast? You know how I have 2 left feet."
"Goes perfect with my 2 right feet. But we've got to catch him. Totally should have gotten us dancing lessons for Christmas."
Potter had evaded Thomas and Elizabeth from the dance floor completely and almost to the door of the hall.
"Why isn't anyone helping us?"
Elizabeth wondered. Just before Harry ran out the door, Don blocked his path and took out his wand. "Petrificus Totalis!" As Don said this, Harry froze in his path and started to collapse. Now everyone started to notice what was going on. Hagrid had run over to the three students, now above the frozen body of Harry Potter.
Blimey! What are the three of you doing?
Sorry, Hagrid. I think Harry here has had a little too much to drink. We'll take care of him. Thomas started to pick Harry up, and the other two just smiled as everyone looked on in a confused, yet suspicious way. A few minutes later, Ron and Hermione were not far behind them.